Hello everybody, this is Cheri at djsundry.blogspot.com, and today I'm going to take you on a walkthrough through my reorganized, redesigned craft space. Now, just as a background, I have a family room in my basement that I share with my family. I have about half of them that we've designated for crafty space, and so some of the mess that you see, we're still in the process of reorganizing the other half of the room, but my side is just about as done as it's going to be. Now I'm going to walk through this as quickly as I can because quite frankly it can be really lengthy and I don't want to bore you with those details. So the first thing you see as you enter the space is of course my craft table, and we'll come back to that, but we're just going to start with the perimeter of the area. And what you see here is just a standard bookshelf, and it's just loaded with all things crafty, except for that bottom is full of magazines, but those aren't even crafty, but that's just where their home is. We have different Christmas and Valentine papers, and then the rest of them are just things that maybe I can use for gifts or for altering or jewelry supplies. I'm storing Christmas gifts in here. My old crafty time with Aunt Cheri, someday I might get into that. Some supplies, embroidery floss, some supplies I'm gathering for medical missions, and different things like that. Some scrapbooks that I need to work on. I'm squeezing past my tripod there, which hopefully at some point will go. My husband's going to attempt to mount it from the ceiling, and that'll give me a little bit more foot space. Up here you see ink pads that I've just gotten an old cassette holder, I think is what it was, made out of an old box. It's probably something that somebody made. I picked it up at a yard sale. But those stamp pads that you see up there are either duplicate stamp pads that I use for crops and classes, or they are retired stamp pads that I didn't want to get rid of. So then as we come down, we have my IKEA shelves on the bottom. And so just to run through them quickly, you see that I've got some canvases, and this is where I keep card bases and clipboards and things. The bottom row has mostly specialty papers and or 8.5 by 11 papers. There's also some cork board down there, and that's also where I keep some boards that I use when we're watercoloring that we can tape the watercolors to try to keep it flat. Then we move over to the drawers next to it. This set of drawers, also this is part of an add-on to this IKEA shelving unit. This is some paints, glitter, perfect pearls, those kind of things. The bottom drawer is just full of things that either have been altered or can be altered or used for crafty things. And then on the very bottom shelf you see ribbons and trims and different things like that. Over here, this is my planner, old planner inserts, and then this is a scrapbook for my husband that I'm working on, and it's got a lot of his pictures. This is an insert that I pulled out of my small organizer from Close to My Heart because I had put something else in there, and then these are just empty boxes to use for gift boxes. This bottom one right here is all about scrapbooking and Picture My Life and Project Life. It's basically all of my page protectors. And then I do have a few pads of paper in that bottom one on the right left after my destashing, and then the next one are just full, or that next little cubby is full of different Close to My Heart kits. There's some other couple projects that I want to work on, and then a few stickers that were just too large, and that's where I decided to put them. So then as we come up, we come to the Michaels shelf sitting on top, and we do have the spinny rack that's got some embellishments, and there's stencils and embellishments of just all sorts of fun things. Again, really cold back. And then this is where I keep my current Close to My Heart papers. These are solids. There are a few retired papers in here, but for the most part, there's one package of retired paper that I've just put together, but I wanted to keep it with this. And then these are, I believe they're all current papers. And then in the end, there are some retired kits and larger stacks of paper, but most of what I keep in here is what's current. And you'll see where I have more retired stuff later. And then in here I keep my finished cards, and this is where I keep things like Gamsol and my Prisma watercolor pencils, and my Prisma colored pencils. My watercolor pencils from Close to My Heart stay in here, as do my watercolor paints. I just have the pencils out for a project. This is tools, crocodiles, there's a lump brush in there, and just all sorts of tools. And then we move into my Xyrons. And then we have this library drawer for ATCs that I altered a few years ago. I still have it, but I have cleaned it out, so there's lots of room for me to put other things. Different things I can use for embellishments. There's a pincushion and tools and clips and just various and sundry things like that. We move down to these Michael's drawers. This one has 6x6 pads, as does this one. This is stickles and distress paints and different things like that. And then we've got sprays, both my homemades and some of the others, and distress stains and those things. Then we've got more stickers and embellishments. And then this one is various and sundry paper pads. Most of these are die cuts with a view 4x6 pads, but there's some others mixed in there. So then as we move around to the corner here, this is where I keep all of my unmounted stamps that I have that are not Close to My Heart stamps. As you can see, I don't have that many. I've really cleaned out and just have really tried to simplify and just really keep what I know that I want to use more. And then at the front, this is where I keep my Close to My Heart thin cuts and embossing folders that I have accumulated. And then this is a place for quick card bases and envelopes. A few. I don't keep a lot in here. There's lots of room for storage in here because I keep most of my Close to My Heart markers somewhere else. This is just a duplicate. And then we've got some various there's spell binders in here. These are just notebooks and things that I use, and some more envelopes. My Cuttlebug. This is where I keep the bulk of my Close to My Heart stamp pads. These are the ones that are not retired and that also are current. I don't keep any retired ones in here. And then as we scroll up, you see those two purple boxes. One has flowers, the other one has glitter tape and more flowers and my Your Story. And then this extra set of boxes, this has my Sizzix dies and my Cuttlebug plates. This one has embossing folders and different things like that. And this is just kind of in a little accumulation of junk. And then this cabinet down here is where I store everything from office supplies to mailing supplies to extra composition books. And there's some ribbon in the drawers, and there's chipboard, and there's die cuts. It's just kind of it's an organized hodgepodge of different items. Paper cutters are over there, a couple extra paper cutters. And then that brings me to my IKEA storage. I was able to, in cleaning out, eliminate an entire drawer storage system, which I believe at the beginning of the videos I'll put some pictures of the space before I had it cleaned up, and you'll see those multicolored drawers. I was able to eliminate that completely. But in my car, I keep that handy so that I can just roll it to my desk, because it's just a couple feet. And I have the things that I would use most frequently up here, adhesives and my ATG and wipes. These are a couple of stamp sets for projects that I need to use soon. My paper cutter, my smaller Martha Stewart board. I keep the larger one just sitting there on the floor. The second shelf has a few more wipes, and then it's got like my Close to My Heart ribbons and a few embellishments, some Picture My Life cards, just a few. I think that's what's in there. Things that I want to use in future projects, but short term. I want to use them sooner rather than later, so I didn't want to put them away. But then also I'm kind of running out of storage space for my Close to My Heart stamps, which you'll see in a minute. So some of the extras that I don't have room for right now are in here as well. And then the bottom is a scrap basket, and watch for a feature coming up about scraps. Then as we come up. We've got some sequins and just different clips, and then lots of buttons. And then my next bag that has more tools, and it's pretty empty right now. This used to be my go-to bag that had a lot of things that sat next to my desk, and now it's kind of behind me, and it's got like my roll of markers and rulers, and sometimes my ATG stays in there, and then my craft mat. And then this set of drawers is just full of different, this one is actually probably the least useful of the drawers. There's not a whole lot in here. Replacement pieces, some doilies. It's not, that one's not super organized, but then the next two, we have different embellishments and things, some needles for, like, if I want to do, not that I do that very often, but if I wanted to do some paper, some sewing on a project. And then this drawer is all about distress, and so my distress inks and sponges and things are in there. The next drawer is full of punches and different things like that. And I say full, it's not full. I mean, there's a lot in there, but that's, I've gotten down to that few. And then this drawer right down here is just full of things to scrapbook. I actually have 3 different sections that have things that are just full that I need to start scrapbooking. So hopefully I will eventually get those done, and then I'll eliminate 3 areas in my space. And then the bottom one is my spell binders. And as we're scrolling around, this little box that you see on the bottom, this is my planner stuff, and I keep that handy, but I like to carry it throughout the house, and so it's packed with items that I would want at my fingertips when I was working on my planners. And then there's some mats on the wall, the long 24-inch mats for my Cricut, and then an apron that I had made with my kids' handprints for my grandmother. And then this is just because lack of a better place to store it, but it's my rolling tote that I just got at a thrift store. And it's stuffed with bags that I use that I don't want to part with, just kind of tote bags and things. And then we've got ribbon, and up above we have some watercolor supplies, my my bow maker, and more ribbon, and then scanning around Cricut cartridges. Which brings me down to the Cricut station, which was my son's older desk, and you can see it is stacked to the gills underneath, and that is just simply because I don't use it as a desk, and so I wanted to utilize that space to store different things. So the bottom crate, this crate right here is just some scrap paper, I think, is still in there, although I've eliminated most of that. Most of it's just stickers, and there's lots of room in there that could be filled, but I don't really use a lot of stickers, so it's probably about as full as it's going to get right now. And then that bottom set of stamps, or this bottom box right here, is the large organizer from Close to My Heart, and there's probably room for a very few more stamp sets in that. It's pretty full, but most of those are, well, all of those are retired. And then above that you see the medium organizer, which is where I keep my Close to My Heart Picture My Life cards. I also keep Project Life. They all go together in there. I just have them organized and labeled separately. And then the small organizer, I purchased the insert for the stamp block, so that's where my stamp blocks are housed in this little guy. And then this one is full of current stamp sets. So as you can see, it's pretty much full. So this drawer has Cricut mats and Cricut tools in it. This just has different items that I would use for classes and different things for Close to My Heart. And this is where I store extra this is where I store my instruction books and a few extra class supplies, and then all of my idea books and things that I would use for classes, and my selfie printer, and like my camera and those kind of things. So both Cricuts sit on here. Obviously you can't use them both at the same time, but it's pretty simple for me to move things. And currently I have the current idea books sitting on that desk just so that they're at my fingertips, especially as I learn the new projects or products. And then this is an embellishment little holder that a friend bought me, and it's actually two-sided, and so this is where I keep close to my heart extra embellishments. Some of them are retired, some of them are not, and there's stuff on both sides. And then a washi ring and some little bulletin boards that I made, and then we come around. This is my yard sale little lamp. I don't have it turned on right now, but it's kind of cute and fun. I purchased that at a yard sale several years ago, and now it's in a place that I can actually use it. These are just some Walmart. This is also something that I cleaned out. These are just some inexpensive Walmart 12 by 12 organizers. So this bottom is pretty much all of the non-close to my heart paper that I have. That's individual sheets, but then we've also got some smaller, like die cuts with a view, or I'm sorry, oh, there's some 7 Gypsies 8 by 8 paper, I think, and just various and sundry little sheets of paper in that drawer. And then these are pretty much all retired close to my heart in the top 2 drawers. And then more embellishments. This one's full of bling, tags, my embossing station. This is what I have left of mounted stamps. I know, not very many. And then there are some extra ink pads, non-close to my heart stuff. And then my, I can't remember what this is called, but Project Life, the Flux tool, or Fuse tool, sorry. And then bags and adhesives and vinyl and transfer paper. And then up on top here is just a little bit more washi tape, and then different boxes and things. This is just some extra notepads because I use notepads, use notepads quite a bit. And then just extra containers and eyeglass cleaner and stuff. Most of these back here, except for this one, the rest of these things are pretty much empty, just available. So the last area that I have is my desk, and I just knocked something off. So this is my workspace, and it's kind of a mess right now because I'm getting ready to call it a night. So that's why my phone and stuff sitting here and my other cartridge here. But this is a project that I'm working on, so that's why I've kind of got this extra clutter here. And then those cards there are a project that you will see in just a few days. But you see, I don't keep a lot on my desktop anymore. At my fingertips I keep an ink pen and just a jar that has a few necessary tools, pens, and there's a couple pairs of scissors in there, and there are some glue pens and some water brushes and some tweezers and that kind of stuff. There's this fun little jar full of little embellishments. I took some couplers and put paper around them and glued them together and wrapped some trim around them to hold stickles when I'm working on my desk so they can be upside down. There are some little fun things in here with just some extra pens. The rest of my pen collection is somewhere else. And then the only other thing that is on my desk all the time is my coaster, because I almost always have either a water bottle or Diet Coke sitting on my table, mostly Diet Coke. And then I do have some Zig markers. Here's a Winkostella brush. This is my close to my heart shimmer pen. I was using that on the project earlier. Distress markers, a few adhesives I like to keep at my fingertips, a few more, and a few more. So then my big mat. So that's pretty much what you see in my craft room. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I hope and maybe it gives you some crafty ideas of things that you might be able to do utilizing a pretty small space to have a good place to work. So thanks so much for stopping by today, and remember, take some time to enjoy the little things. Have a great day. Bye.